Recording in progress.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Andrew Lee. I'm a senior assistant city solicitor here in Newton. Also with us today is Bill August, joining us online. He is the city's cable counsel. This public hearing is part of the City of Newton's process to ascertain cable-related needs in connection with both Verizon and Comcast's cable license renewals. The hearing is mandatory under the Federal Cable Act and Massachusetts law. Also under state law, Mayor Ruth Ann Fuller is the issuing authority of the city's cables licenses. And as the issuing authority, she has designated me as the hearing officer for this meeting. What that means is that I'm authorized to run this meeting and to collect information. However, to be clear, the only person that can make final decisions on the cable licenses is the mayor herself. So the notice of tonight's hearing was published for 2 consecutive weeks in the Boston Herald on November 26th and December 3rd. I have copies of the legal advertisements here with me right now. I'll be entering them into the record. And as stated in the notice of this hearing, the current license with Comcast and Verizon both expire on June 30th, 2027. I mentioned earlier that this hearing is part of the process to ascertain cable-related needs related to Comcast and Verizon. Specifically, what that means is that the purpose of tonight's meeting is to receive comments about what cable-related needs and interests are important to the public, how Comcast and Verizon have performed under the respective existing licenses, and to identify the future cable-related community needs and interests in the city. So I encourage all of you who wish to make statements about cable-related matters of interest to share your views here so that they'll be part of the public record. So with regards to the public comments, there's a couple housekeeping and ground rules I'd just like to make clear. First, any speaker of the, any member of the public that'd like to speak will have 5 minutes. And I ask that they state their name and their address at the beginning of their comment. Also, you'll note this is a hybrid meeting. We have folks here with us at City Hall, but also members of the public joining us online via Zoom. I intend to take the speakers that are in the room first. We have a sign-up sheet. I believe everyone here that intends to speak has signed up, but if not, please come and write your name and your address. After I've taken all the speakers in the room, we'll turn to the members of the public that like to make comment online. If you are going to make a comment online, I ask you please to raise your little hand. It's at the bottom of the screen under reactions. And then after you do speak, I'd appreciate it if you take your virtual hand down. And then after that, I've received several communications from members of the public regarding cable-related matters that I will read into the record. And finally, we'll hear from UTV as well as representatives from city departments. Bill, did I forget anything? You're muted.
That was great. That covered all the main points. Thank you.
Okay, excellent. So then also I note that Mr. Patrick Sherns is online. He is a representative from Comcast. I understand that Verizon was unable to send a representative today. However, before we start, I'd like to give Mr. Sherns an opportunity to give any introductory comments he'd like.
Thank you very much, Mr. Lee, and thank you everybody for being here today. I just would like to, and again, I'm Patrick Sherns. I'm the Government Affairs Senior Manager, and part of my portfolio is the City of Newton, and I'll be conducting the cable TV license renewal negotiations on behalf of the company. As you all may know, this evening's hearing is one of the first steps in the cable license renewal process. And as I'm sure you know, Comcast has been a proud partner with New TV and the Newton community as a whole for many years. So today I'm here to listen to what those testifying have to say about the needs of the community pertaining to the cable TV license renewal, and also looking forward to working with you all on drafting a beneficial and sustainable cable license renewal in the coming months. So thank you very much for having me here this evening.
Thank you. Jacqueline, is there any particular location that the speakers will have to talk in order to get picked up on the microphone, or anywhere in the room work?
Anywhere in the room would work.
Okay.
Best advice is that they just need to project.
Okay. So we will open up the public comment, and the first person we have on our list is Jane Harper.
Thank you, Mr. Lee. Sorry.
No, it's just gonna pick up,
Okay.
so
Just need to
Okay.
you could just stand there and project, that would be great,
Okay.
thank you.
My name is Jane Harper. I live at 11 Fenno Road in Newton. I'm co-president of the League of Women Voters of Newton, and I'm speaking here tonight on behalf of the board of the league. The league's board of directors supports funding new TV from the city's cable subscription revenues in order to maintain the level of services that Newton has come to expect and needs from our local access station. The mission of the League of Women Voters is to encourage informed and active participation in government, work to increase understanding of major public policy issues, and influence public policy through education and advocacy. This mission can only be achieved by having a robust source of local news, which New TV provides. Local news is an essential lever to a healthy democracy. It helps communities understand what's at stake in local elections and equips residents to get involved in the political process by voting, contacting officials, and running for office. Accurate local news reduces political polarization and helps hold public officials accountable. New TV is critical to Newton's democracy and should be supported to ensure the future vitality of our community. New TV provides essential live and recorded coverage of weekly city council and school committee meetings. As a result, the number of residents and business owners viewing proceedings has increased exponentially. New TV also provides essential programming around our elections, including candidate forums and platforms, election coverage and programming, and award-winning news coverage and reporting. New TV enables us to learn about important issues facing our city and helps us sustain a healthy democracy. New TV and the League of Women Voters have had a special partnership for many years, as together they have produced League Presents programs and candidate forums and recorded League topic meetings. In closing, we ask Mayor Fuller and the City Council to make certain that the Comcast and Verizon franchise agreement renewals include sufficient and consistent funding support for New TV to ensure that residents and business owners are informed and educated consumers of what is happening here in Newton. Thank you.
Thank you. And next on our list. I'll allow it. We have Marcia Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. Lee. I'm Marcia Johnson. I live at 845 Washington Street in Newtonville. And as a former president of the League of Women Voters, I was proud to be the only person present. Now I have to see, I'm attracting people to speak on behalf of New TV. And Jane shared all the thoughts around local New TV, but I want to just be an addendum. Over the past 2 years, I graduated to the state board for the League of Women, so the League of Women Voters of Massachusetts, and I'm the secretary. And one of my side things is I'd like to think about how my background is in education, to educate people about democracy. We heard constantly through the past quite interesting campaign over the last year or two or whatever, that if a Republican got elected, democracy would go away. If a Democrat got elected, democracy would go away. But people don't really understand what democracy is and how it affects their daily lives. So a small group, one member is right here, Julie Lindstrom. We have an expanded group, and we are getting ready for 2025 because we put on our first program with New TV back in the end of October. So we made it before the election, and we had 3 luminaries. We had Dr. Rachel Cobb out of Suffolk University in the MIT Elections Lab, Tim Matthews, who's a civics teacher here at Day Middle School and very active in the whole statewide civics project, and then Cheryl Clyburn Crawford. Clyburn, like Jim Clyburn, is her cousin, all were a panel, and it was just amazing. And it's on the New TV YouTube channel, and you also can access it through the Newton League and the State League. And I just want to thank you. I don't think Bob had a chance to talk to you for that. And we're looking forward. We had our first planning meeting and looking at 2025. And so they have a capability that no one else has. At the meeting last night, we can use other local access and nobody has to do that. So I just want to say thank you and ditto, and please, Mayor Fuller, through Mr. Lee, We need them funded at the highest level possible to offer the services that actually, though they're located in Newton and Newton funded, goes way beyond Newton. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Paul, and I apologize, I cannot read the last name.
Oh, sorry about that. Sears.
Paul Sears, which I should have remembered.
My name's Paul Sears. I'm at 662 Boylston Street in Newton Center, and I'm president of the board at New TV. This is just going to be a very enthusiastic. I love New TV. So I'm here in advance. Since 1992, New TV has been a source of information and creative opportunities for Newton residents. As a member, president, and board member since 2009, I know how important this organization is to the residents of Newton. Newton News, for instance, is one of the few sources of information available to Newton residents, telling us what is going on in our city. If Newton wants to know what the city council or school committee is doing, watch New TV's coverage in real time or on demand. All Newton residents can learn TV production at New TV for $40 a year. It's 40, right? Very little. And then produce their own program on their favorite subject. I know I've been doing this for years. My wife and I have been doing this for years. There are just a few, these are just a few of the many opportunities for Newton residents. New TV would like to continue doing this for another 32 years and beyond. Please help us with adequate funding. Thank you.
Thank you. And next we have Barry Mirror.
Hi, I'm Barry Mirror. I live at 122 Albemarle Road in Newtonville. I've been a resident of Newton for 36 plus years. I'm a volunteer at New TV and currently a member of the board. Mayor Fuller, Newton Law Department, Mr. Lee, on the Newton Council. I saw the wide-eyed faces of children's singing group called Stellar Voices as they came to the New TV studios and were thrilled to be able to perform in the studio and see themselves on broadcast TV. Earlier this year, Armenian performers showed their international talent right here at Newton City Hall and can now watch the New TV recording of themselves online and share it with friends and family all over the world. I produced, filmed, and directed dozens of programs, both in the New TV studios and also on location in the field that are now available online. Collectively, they have hundreds of thousands of views. Family and friends who live far away or can't physically get to a performance can now watch their loved ones on New TV. All of this is made possible by New TV. Besides the engaging programming and many awards which New TV has earned, I see firsthand the service, education, and joy that New TV brings to the community. Personally, I also depend on their programming, including candidate forums, as my source to get to know the local people who are running for public office. Many of you already know the value that New TV brings to the community. New TV is a gem. People and communities all over the country look up to New TV as a model for their own local TV stations. Please support our local station so New TV can keep bringing this important and valuable programming to Newton. Thank you.
Thank you. And we have Steve Russo.
I'm an employee of New TV, and I'm here to support my boss, Bob Kelly, and the data that he's going to present, his PowerPoint presentation. I can verify that it's accurate because we put it together. And I just want to say that the information in there is important, and we should listen to it, and look at it, and understand that the future of New TV is in the hands of the people. And if they want it, then they need to stand up and say it's important. And I'm glad to see everybody here today supporting it.
Thank you. And I believe that's everyone that is inside the room that wishes to speak. I saw a couple members of the public join online who didn't hear me in the beginning. So I'd just like to remind everyone that is online, if you would like to speak, please raise your virtual hand. There should be a raise hand function at the bottom of the screen. I do see Kathleen's hand up first, but Kathleen is actually a representative of Newton Public Schools, and I'm going to reserve the representatives from the city for later, if that's okay, Kathleen. Thank you. So we will take comment from, I believe, Eugene Roundtree had his hand up first. Please go ahead, Mr. Roundtree.
Hi, everyone. I'm Gene Roundtree. I'm the Assistant Superintendent for Secondary Education in Newton Public Schools, and so I'm also a city representative, and that should probably mean that I should also wait alongside Kathleen.
Okay, I appreciate that. Thank you. And then we have Amy Sangiolo.
Hi, good evening. Thank you so much for allowing me to speak. Can you hear me okay? Terrific. So I come here tonight to offer my very strong support for New TV and to fully fund New TV. New TV educates, informs, and delivers community-focused programming and news that I and so many other residents have come to rely on. I have been honored to participate in New TV programming and have come to, again, rely on New TV for the many meetings, the school committee and the city council meetings that they cover. My one ask is that if you can expand funding to New TV so that they can cover even more meetings, particularly our boards and commissions, I would greatly appreciate that. As was already mentioned, New TV offers a lot of opportunities for Newton residents, young and old, to participate in making programs and in learning how to create programming for themselves and for their organizations and for the city as a whole. They particularly have a wonderful program with Newton South High School and I believe with some of the middle schools as well. So I am a strong supporter and I ask that the mayor not only fully fund but expand funding for New TV. Thank you.
Thank you. I believe that is everyone online. So I'm going to proceed to, oh, I see another hand. Mr. Bruce Henderson, please go ahead. I believe you're muted.
Bruce Henderson with editor of Fig City News, and I want to echo what everybody else here has been saying. I've just found that, particularly in the last 2 years, New TV has been just essential in covering city and school government functions. It's become, in a sense, the paper of record for recording meetings. If we need to find what happened in a meeting, we go back and use New TV, and we link to it all we can in our articles. It's just become absolutely essential because that information is not on the city website now, and we need it. And I hope that the mayor will not only fully fund it, but expand it, because I've been standing alongside Jen Adams and Eugene at so many meetings and press conferences through the teacher strikes. I'm just so impressed with their dedication. They do a really good job, and we ought to be fully supporting them. Thank you.
Thank you. And seeing no other hands online, I'm going to read into the record 3 communications that I've received regarding cable-related needs from the public. The first one is from Mr. Jay Sugarman, dated December 7th. And he wrote, "My family and I have lived in Newton for 34 years, and I've been a member of New TV for the past 11 years. During this time, I've had the good fortune to be the producer and host of 2 weekly series, Museum Opera House and Innovation Showcase. These ongoing series feature and highlight both museums and cultural institutions, as well as with many of the outstanding innovators, inventions, and groundbreaking initiatives in the areas spanning the fields of business, science, technology, education, and the arts. Through the use of Zoom, we also do many programs across the country and worldwide. To date, we produced and aired more than 850 programs. Being involved in New TV has allowed me to share my passion for museums, innovation, and education with the community. This has been deeply rewarding and in turn has helped inform viewers about the wide range of cultural events and fascinating individuals both locally and beyond. None of this programming could have been done without the training, assistance, and ongoing support from the staff members at New TV. Everyone has always been friendly, easy to work with, and highly professional. They truly value the community and are an incredible resource for the city together with the station's state-of-the-art facilities. Collaborating with other New TV members has further enhanced my overall experience at the station. I feel strongly that Newton should continue supporting New TV as much as possible, since it provides a platform for residents to share their stories, perspectives, and creative projects, all of which reflect and support the diversity of our community. Their broadcast of city council meetings, school board discussions, and other government activities keep residents informed and engaged in local governance. By sharing events, news, and programs of local interest, New TV helps strengthen the sense of belonging and unity within the city. In closing, supporting New TV is a wise investment in civic life, cultural enrichment, and community empowerment. The next communication we received was from Mr. Michael Spur on December 4th, 2024. Mr. Spur wrote, I have been a member of NCAC and New TV since 1999. New TV is very important to the community for several reasons. The obvious local news coverage is even more important today because of the lack of newspaper coverage. Without a source that is reliable, current, and unbiased, things get messy. New TV is one of the best community access stations in the country, and it shows. The staff is fun, friendly, and very knowledgeable. The opportunity to volunteer for other shows is also incredibly enjoyable to me. Helping with other members' productions is a great way that I can give back to the community. As a member of the board of directors for 4 years in the early 2000s, I understand how this works and hope you all see the value in New TV. I would be here in person, however, I am out of the country. And the last communication is from Mr. Greg Reedman, president of the Charles River Regional Chamber. Letters dated December 9th, 2024. We are writing to express our support for the continued funding of New TV. The city's cultural vibrancy can only be maintained if every citizen can access all its happenings. And New TV provides this by connecting Newton residents to the art institutions, nonprofits, cultural groups, boards, commissions, children, and village traditions. At the Charles River Chamber, we heavily rely on New TV's coverage of governmental meetings. The decisions made by board and committees directly impact our businesses, and it is impossible for us to attend all the meetings. New TV's coverage ensures that we can stay informed and keep our membership updated on significant policy changes. In an era where cable access is struggling, New TV has bucked the trend by expanding its government meeting coverage by 300%, demonstrating its dedication to serving the city. We urge the city to maintain and even increase its support of New TV, whose contributions are essential to keeping our community informed and connected. So, seeing no more hands and no one else in the room that would like to speak, I will now turn it over to the city representatives, and I'd like to start with Joe Mulvey, our IT director.
Thank you. My name is Joseph Mulvey. I am the Chief Information Officer for the City of Newton. I'm the head of the Information Technology Department. As CIO for Newton, my responsibilities include oversight of the city's cable, telecommunications, and information technology facilities. I oversee equipment requirements. In this role, I interact with all departments. I am familiar with the city's communications infrastructure, and my department coordinates the provision of cable service drops by cable operators when they are requested by the issuing authority. Lastly, we have used cable licensing funds to build and maintain our own fiber network rings, covering more than 60 municipal, educational, and public safety buildings. I'd also like to point out that my department has a long history of working with New TV, and it's always been nothing but thoroughly enjoyable and rewarding. From Steve Kessinger to Eugene to Steve Russo, it's always a pleasure to work with you guys, and I look forward to many more years. My statement describes the city's use of cable service drops, which are primarily provided by Comcast, a portion of the city's projected public educational and governmental access equipment and facility needs, other benefits provided by Comcast and Verizon that should be considered during the cable license renewal process, and our continuing interactions and mutual support working with New TV. The IT department is responsible for assuring that cable service drops needed by the city are deployed to public buildings and that any installation or other work is coordinated with a cable operator. Together with cable operators, we track where service drops are located, their working condition, and where additional drops are needed. Because Comcast was first in Newton among the 3 cable operators, it had the responsibility for providing service drops to public building locations designated by the mayor. For this reason, the city has relied more heavily upon Comcast and RCN or Verizon to provision and maintain these service drops. In addition, the city commends Comcast for voluntarily providing the city with more service drops per building than required under state law and more drops for specific buildings where the need is greater. Comcast and the city have provided the communications required to manage this large number of service drops. In the age of streaming video and mobile devices, the need for cable service connectivity has significantly decreased. However, they are of value to public safety personnel who have long shifts and must be ready to respond to emergency assistance calls. Governmental access programming includes coverage and broadcast of public meetings. Under its agreement with the city, New TV provides coverage and transmits this program to its system, where it is picked up by the cable operator networks and delivered to is important to an informed community and city operations. The primary locations are the city council chambers at City Hall and the Ed Center at 100 Walnut Street. The War Memorial at City Hall, meeting rooms at City Hall, Drucker Auditorium at the main library, and several remote locations where programming is originated and transmitted are also important sources of governmental access programming. City Council Chamber. IT supported the upgrade of equipment at City Hall, which is now used to provide coverage of City Council meetings in various formats, from in-person to hybrid to fully remote. The existing equipment was old, outdated, and unreliable. We believe that New TV will recommend replacement of the video cameras and ancillary equipment in the near future. IT fully supports these upgrades. The Ed Center. The Ed Center control room at 100 Walnut Street is used for operating PEG access equipment during school committee meetings. Like the City Council chambers, the Ed Center's old, outdated, unreliable equipment was replaced with new HD equipment about 5 years ago. The control room was enhanced as well. Some departments have identified a need for portable cameras or a technical equivalent. For example, the fire department has expressed interest in a portable camera for creating programming for the governmental access channel. One example is a program on smoke detector requirements that would inform residents and local real estate brokers. The estimated cost for this is about $6,000. The main library also has been interested in a portable camera for the new Drucker Auditorium to enable coverage of public and educational events for delayed airing by New TV. The estimated cost is about $6,000 as well. If replacement cycles every 5 years are considered, the projected cost for those portable cameras would be $24,000. I'm almost done. We in IT have considered some potential additional benefits to the city. The city could benefit with funding for the procurement of Owl 3 webcams for police, fire, library, and City Hall at approximately $1,500 each, with a replacement estimated at every 4 years. We continue to research funding for a proposed emergency call box system equipped with Wi-Fi and cameras that automatically call 911 at the press of a button, similar to a college campus. They will also serve Wi-Fi in areas where access is degraded for one reason or another. Old Springs for the farmers market, Halloran Field, and other green spaces with limited connectivity. Approximately $10,000 each, not including monthly subscription costs for public Wi-Fi access. The municipal network relies on 2 internet service providers, Astound RCN and Verizon. We do not enjoy any type of municipal discount through Verizon, nor did we when we previously partnered with Comcast. That completes my statement. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, I think we'll hear from the Newton Public Schools. We have Kathleen Duff and Eugene Roundtree with us. If you can please state your official titles to start, that would be great.
I can go first, and Kathleen, you can follow up also. If that's okay with you. My name is Dr. Gene Roundtree. I'm the Assistant Superintendent for Secondary Education and Special Programs for the Newton Public Schools. I've been in my role for 5 months and 10 days, so I'm relatively new to the role and to the context. But I'm having a really great time getting to know people and getting to know how things work in Newton. We wanted to share some ideas as we're thinking about renewing the partnership, with Comcast, RC, and others. We want to just kind of highlight some areas, that we feel like the partnership could really support the work of the Newton Public Schools. I know that in the past we've also presented. There were a couple of really current issues that I wanted to highlight for this group, and ask that, as we are continuing, or as we're having a discussion about renewing our partnership, that we look for opportunities to support teaching and learning in the Newton Public Schools as part of partnerships like this. So the first, in terms of our programming, we are making investments in our career and technical education programs in ways that I think are very closely aligned with the work of Comcast and other service providers. In a few minutes, Kathleen will talk a little bit about our program in our TV career and technical area, or TV and television and broadcasting. So I think that's an opportunity. We're also in the process of establishing a ISSN CTE program, so that students will have opportunities to learn about networking and in preparation for potential careers in that field. One structural challenge that we're having, that I thought maybe that this body and potentially our partners can help us with, is I'm also in charge of district operations in terms of safety and related protocols. And one thing that I've become aware of is that for our middle and high schools in the southern part of the city, that would be Oak Hill Middle School, Brown Middle School, and Newton South High School. We actually have that entire campus area has very poor cell phone reception and connectivity. And also, we've noticed our first responders, their radio equipment does, they have a hard time communicating in the buildings with their radio equipment. And so, I will confess that I'm bringing this to this group. It's one of those challenges where I don't exactly know who are the people to help, but I felt like if we are renewing our partnership, with some of these, telecommunications providers, that I would just like it to be on everyone's radar, and hopefully people who know a lot more about, telecommunications technology than I do, to see how they can help us to make progress in this area, because it does represent, a safety concern if we're not able to communicate with our building staff and first responders in the event, of an emergency, in this campus. Again, we have some cell reception, but the buildings, there are certainly areas where signals do not, are not sent or received. And I think that's a pretty urgent and pressing concern, and hopefully, as part of this partnership, we can elevate that in hopes of resolution. And with that, I'd like to invite my colleague Kathleen to talk a little bit more about the career and technical education programs that, if we are through our partnership, we could benefit. It would be in the best interest of Newton Public Schools students, families, and the greater city of Newton.
Thank you, Eugene. Good evening, everyone. As Eugene said, my name is Kathleen Duff. I am the Director of Career and Technical Education for the Newton Public Schools. We have 7 Chapter 74 programs. That means they're state approved to meet the highest, most rigorous standards. They are housed at North, one of them being the TV Media Arts program that we have. Our South Campus actually has a TV media community, so their program runs a little bit differently, but still an outstanding program at that. First and foremost, we wanted to thank New TV. We know you guys have been dynamite partners and supporters of our students. Our students' great work that they do wouldn't be seen and as visible as it is without you. So we do greatly appreciate your support for that. We know also that all the streaming events that the TV Media Arts program does is because of you, and the internships that our students are afforded to do the streaming activities is afforded because of you. So Mayor Fuller and all those parties interested, we are asking that you fully support New TV, and if you can extend, that funding, that would be dynamite. We also spoke last year in March when RCN was going up for their renewal. We know this is another partnership that there is some money that's supposed to be earmarked for the education systems. If that money ever comes about, we could find some really great educational projects to do with that in our TV media arts and our media community programs on both North and South Campus. And that would definitely bring more exciting projects that our students could do with with new TV. So we really do look forward to expanding our relationships. Our TV program was moved to a Chapter 74 status in September, so that was a big shift for us. And the students are award-winning programs. Channel 5 actually does a lot of awards programs for the high school students from across the state. And because of the work that our kids have done with the professionals at New TV and the internships and the experiences and just the professionalism that New TV has extended towards our students and sharing their information and their experience and instruction. They've just done so well and created amazing pieces that never would be the quality they were without the team effort. So we look forward to the partnerships. We hope New TV is supported and expanded. And again, if there was any funding left over to put into that educational pocket, we would love to share some ideas on ways that we could use that and make complete access of that. So thank you all. Appreciate it.
Thank you. And I think last we'll hear from UTV themselves. And we have a presentation. Can everybody see that on the screen?
Okay, so my name is Bob Kelly. I'm Executive Director of UTV. This is a 36-page PowerPoint. So go get some popcorn, get the ottoman, put your feet up. Here we go. Patrick Stearns, good to see you, by the way. Honorable Mayor Fuller, Attorney Lee, Attorney August, Mr. Connors, who's not on the call, but Mr. Stearns and members of the Newton community. Thank you for the opportunity to testify at this Comcast and Verizon cable ascertainment hearing. I must say that there's a bit of irony involved here because we're sitting in the Ted Mann conference room, and back in 1991, then Mayor Mann wrestled away the local channels from Cablevision, Amos Hofstetter, and said that Newton wanted to run the local channels. So he put a board together, and in 1992, New TV was founded. And so we thank posthumously Mayor Mann for creating us and giving us this opportunity. And here we are, 32 years later, we're still providing content to the community as well as many other services. And I also will mention that the Newton Public School System, we really appreciate working with them over the years. I think Jen Price was the principal of Newton North when I brought her and a few other members of the administration over to Waltham High School, where I had created a curriculum, a VOTech supported curriculum, where students, even freshmen students, were getting credits for producing programs for Waltham High School. And that model was reviewed and tweaked here in Newton, but it allowed us to have a pretty steady flow of students who were not only interning at New TV, but we created a school to work program with Newton North and the school system so that students after school covering games or after school activities would be compensated for their time. So we gave them stipends. We still do that today. So all we do is get the files from Newton North and the programs run on our channels, and then we send off a check. But those students are now, many of them have chosen to go off to college communications and are now working in the field. And so we're very appreciative of the partnership that we have with Newton Public Schools, and we hope that it continues for many years. Also with Comcast and Verizon, we've enjoyed a very civil relationship with them, and it will continue because we understand where our cable, our bread is buttered, our cable subscribers here in the city of Newton are paying for us. And through Comcast, Verizon, and Astound, New TV is funded. Even though we've lost probably 45% of the cable subscribers here in Newton, we still rely on that support in our partnership with the city. New TV was, as I mentioned, was started in 1992, and it opened its doors in June on Lincoln Street and in the Hyde Community Center. We were there for 14 years, and then in 2006, we moved to the current location at 23 Needham Street. In 2013, New TV launched an HD channel through a partnership with RCN. And then in 2015, we became the first media center to secure 3 HD channels for paid programming. In 2017, we purchased office space at 23 Needham Street to avoid a doubling of rent as was proposed by the agent for the property owner. This was a strategic move supported by the board to lock in the previous rent amount as a mortgage payment, thereby affording New TV the ability to stay in its studio space for many more years. In 2020, when COVID hit and engulfed the world, New TV stayed active and provided members with cameras and ring light kits that Steve Russo went out and purchased to continue to inform and educate the Newton community. New TV played host to infectious disease experts such as Dr. Rochelle Walensky and Dr. Ashish Jha. Right there at the beginning of the pandemic, we had 2 of the world's most expert disease specialists in our studio with Mayor Fuller, talking about what Newton residents could expect and what they could do. And then obviously we know that Dr. Rochelle Walensky went on to head the CDC. We continue to increase government meeting coverage via Zoom and eventually a hybrid offering. Working with Joe Mulvey and his IT department, we outfitted these rooms that are in City Hall, this room 204, and the ones surrounding the City Council chamber. So many of you would have to come to City Hall during, prior to the pandemic to attend a meeting because we couldn't cover all the meetings. But thanks to Zoom, and I wish we all bought stock in Zoom, but thanks to Zoom and the city and New TV's partnership, we started covering more and more meetings. We actually increased our coverage by 300% of government meetings. And I think even League Women Voters spoke to that. And we continue that today with the coverage of all those government meetings. We've done numerous coverage of streaming of civic events. Now, Patrick, I don't want you to get upset because I said the word streaming, but we do cover events live. We have a product called LiveView, and that's a battery pack or a cell phone actually kind of system. And we can take a camera and go cover the mayor's press conference or election night coverage at one of the local restaurants for the local candidates who may have won, or Chamber of Commerce events, prayer breakfasts. We're able to live stream those right to our cable channels first, Patrick. They go to our cable channels, and then they'll live on New TV's YouTube channel so that when people visit our website, they're able to watch those programs. And Barry spoke to that and how many people worldwide are able to now view programming that was created by New TV. And we do have a lot of folks who are snowbirds that go down to Florida that live in Newton for 5 months and 29 days, live in Florida for 6 months and a day. I'm not one of them, Paul, don't look at me. And so they're able to watch programming on our website and stay in tune with their friends and neighbors. In 2024, Newton News celebrated 30 years of being on the air, and Jen Adams has been the news director for well over 20. And she is well respected and brings familiarity throughout the community. She's the face of Newton News, and oftentimes of New TV. Even though the equipment format and faces have changed over the years, the core mission of New TV has remained the same. Provide the entire city with access to professional equipment and training while maintaining up-to-date studios to facilitate the ever-changing needs of the community. Public educational government access programming, next slide, yep. I think you're all familiar with that. We call it PEG in the industry. But the public channel is programming produced by community producers. We'll train residents of Newton how to use our equipment. And then they're able to express themselves by producing a weekly show like Jay Sugarman does. 850 shows Jay has produced in 11 years. You do the math, that's about 2 shows a week that he's producing. And so we have many people who produce programs at New TV, and they pay their $40 a year membership and get to produce TV shows. And so a lot of you are familiar with some of those people, but that is really the core mission of why we exist. And they own their own product. When New TV staff does not go into the control room with them, they have volunteer crew. Barry Mirror, if he takes equipment out and goes on in the field to cover some events, that's a product that he owns. So the community producers own their product. We're content neutral. And so therefore the city, New TV, Comcast, Verizon, RCN are pretty much absolved from any liability. And that's how it's supposed to work nationally. But many cities and towns have not been able to accomplish that, but New TV in Newton has. Educational channel and government channel, we run both of those as well. And the content that comes from the public school system K through 12 is crucial. And we hope that we'll grow that with additional programs, as was mentioned earlier, and the equipment that they need. So we support them as well as they support us. And then the government channel we talked about, we're constantly putting out content for the community to stay informed. So our staff members are, some of the names have changed since last March, but not many. Steve and I have been there for 77 years, it feels like. But we continue to have a good crew over there, and the board, which is the next page, led by President Paul Sears, Vice President Ted Everett, Treasurer Diana Cartier, and Clerk Ted Gross, along with members Joseph DeVito, Jenny Gardner, Todd Gross, Elizabeth Lund, who's on the call, Barry Mirror, who's here, Chris Pitts, and Sean Rice. A lot of these folks have either produced content at New TV, or they're just people who are involved with their community that they love. And New TV is a better organization because of their guidance. What does New TV mean to you? Well, as I mentioned about Teddy Mann, this is a breakout for opportunities in education, a breakout for cultural opportunities, unprecedented in the United States, because indeed, we are a very unique community, and Newton has always had that moniker. We are a unique community and one of the best cities to live in the country. Our friend Bonnie Frank, former congressman, says you get to talk about Newton issues and a focus on the locality that you're not going to get from network news or even large metropolitan newspapers. Congressman Frank was in New TV many, many times, and he really appreciated coming in every quarter when we asked him. New TV has won 14 Emmys. Patrick and Bill, I know that not many community media centers are out there winning Emmys, but it's because of the team that we have, not only the staff, but the volunteers and our partners that allow us to produce content that has won 14 regional Emmys. And we continue to push out content that gets nominated. We were nominated this past June. We didn't win, but I'll tell you what, the meal was fun. Telly Awards, Communicator Awards, Mark Awards, Hermes Awards. We've been voted best community media center in the country 9 out of the last 13 years. I know some of you are saying what happened in those 4 other years. And we've been honored by Newton's mayor, city council, and state delegation many times over. And Amy Sandrolo, who's our state rep elect, has really been involved with New TV over the years. And we hope that we can convince her to produce a show at New TV, letting us all know what's happening at the State House. So the next slide is similar to PE&G. What does it mean? We've had over 3,400 members over the years, with an average of 400 of them being active each year. Some of those numbers have come down because of the pandemic, the onslaught of TikTok and social media, and actually capabilities with your phone. So a lot of people have not felt a need to come learn how to use a camera or how to edit, when in fact they're pretty productive utilizing their phone. But many of our workshops that we are offering are trying to draw in the younger generation and get them to understand how to create content, whether it's with your phone or with our equipment. And then the distribution of that content is crucial. Our channels, the PE&G channels, are operated 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 52 weeks a year. So there's content on there 24 hours a day. It's not a community bulletin board. It's not text. It's programming. And so the amount of programming it takes to produce content for 3 channels 24 hours a day, you can imagine, is daunting. But we're up to the task, and we continue to produce that necessary content. We all, every year we recognize our volunteers, community producers, Lifetime Achievement Award winners. Some of the school members will recall that we used to have a scholarship program too, where we would give out 2 scholarships a year. And it was primarily a lot of those students coming out of Newton North and Newton South that were interested in going off to college for communications. We stopped that during the pandemic because we weren't getting the activity down at New TV from students, but I'm sure that the board and our staff will be looking at reviving that. So if you're a member of New TV or you're a student and you come down and intern with us, you're going to use equipment. We have a cloud-based software program we call Isaac that we created. We developed. Steve is the creator of that. That's the only reason I keep him around. But Isaac will track equipment use. So if somebody makes a reservation on an edit suite or the TV studio, or Barry takes a camera kit out with microphones and lighting kit and tripods, we track all the equipment that's being used, every reservation that's been placed. And so each year, that if you were going to rent an edit suite or rent a camera from Rural Broadcast or somewhere, it would cost about $3.5 million for our members and our interns and our staff who utilize the equipment every year. It would cost us about $3.5 million. And we get about a third of that now in cable television funding. So you can see the return on investment is there. Our workshops and training classes are offered monthly to members and non-members. We're expanding our workshops that we offer. We're not Newton Community Ed, and we don't plan on being that, but we do want to be kind of like a community center with a media flair, right? So we want to be able to, bring in people to take workshops. We just did a track 5 workshops dealing with nonprofits and how do they work? How do you attract good board members? How do you recruit a good executive director? How do you manage your budget? And so what that did was it brought in some folks that had never seen the facility and exposed them. So now that to New TV and our equipment, so now those nonprofits are interested in producing content about their nonprofit and getting our programming to keep the community aware of everything that they do. And we obviously have media workshops that, you know, are basic camera use and editing. But we also do workshops, and we just hired Lisa Mirowitz, who worked at WGBH and Nova. She was an executive producer for 25 years. And she's going to be running some workshops on, you know, how to, you know, be an expert at lighting, you know, understanding music content and what is legally within your rights. So there's a lot of workshops that we'll be producing: motion graphics, social media, photography, anime, how to use AI and in producing content. We also host fun community-based events each year. I think they're fun. We had a nice Cone to Cars event back in September, and we've had, last year was 350 people showed up with 35 classic cars and 6 ice cream vendors and a couple of, you know, bakeries that sent way too many brownies and cookies over. I brought some home and my wife was not happy. But I was pretty happy for a day. Our annual meeting is well attended. And we host artist work. So we work with Newton Open Studios and put artwork up in our hallways for 4 to 5 weeks. We'll provide wine and cheese for one night during that 4 to 5 weeks, where the artists can invite whoever they want. We open the place to the public, and they can come look at all the artwork. New TV benefits by having nice artwork up in our hallways that we didn't have to pay for. But the artists, if they sell it, they keep the whatever they sell and put it in their pocket. Most of them are struggling artists, and we recognize that. And we'll always host a chamber event, young professionals, mass access event we just had a couple of months ago, where there was 45 community media center representatives from 45 community media centers in New TV, all asking Steve questions about, you know, our studio setup. And as Barry mentioned in his remarks, there are a lot of community media centers that look at New TV as the model that they want to be and create their organization, and they want their organization to grow up and be like us. Networking is beneficial to our members at all levels. We proudly host a members network. Paul and his wife Barbara and Barry, Arthur Falls, many of them will get together and they'll talk about what help they need on an upcoming show or documentary. And so a lot of the volunteer work from these community producers is discussed at these member networks. They might watch a documentary that was produced by somebody, have pizza, salad, and then hopefully develop their partnership to produce additional content. We have a great, as mentioned, a great relationship with the Newton Public Schools, the Charles River Chamber of Commerce, Newton Public Library, Newton Open Studios, Mass Access, the Alliance for Community Media, the Mass Production Coalition, the League of Women Voters, and many, many more. And we have the John Barry Boys and Girls Club coming in. A lot of their members, students, are coming in because they want to increase their educational program at the Boys and Girls Club. And one of the workshops will be at New TV. We have, some quotes from other people. Katie Geiger, who used to be an employee at New TV, now runs Medfield Community Television. We have 3 former employees of New TV that are now executive directors of community media centers elsewhere. We talked about the scholarships and internships. We'll have 4 or 5 college students in our facility every day, from every week. And then in the summer, we might only have a couple, but that's when the younger students from middle schools and high schools will really get involved with us. Our Newton News has been around since 1994, and we have probably 90. I think it's on the next page. 90 former interns at Newton News that are working in the industry. And that's a testament to Jen Adams and her tough love kind of approach. Yeah, here's the story, here's the address, there's the camera, go get it, come back and package it. And so the first one that the intern might produce looks really bad. But by the end of their semester, the content that they're producing was phenomenal. So Phil Lipoff is a former intern at New TV. And so when I tell you 90 former interns are working in the news industry now as anchors, reporters, writers, that's pretty phenomenal. We told you about our Emmys and our original programming. I don't have to tell you, if you went to our website, you'll know that the folklorist, which Steve brought to our team, he had a friend that was a folklorist. He went to cities and towns and he talked about folklore. Well, we brought him in, put him on camera, and launched a show called The Folklorist. And the show won 9 Emmys, regional Emmys. And it was in 60 million homes at one point, and on Comcast On Demand, by the way, and RCN On Demand. So I think if you go to Comcast On Demand, even today, you could probably watch The Folklorist if you just search. Many other shows that were produced and we continue to produce are coming our way on the cable channels. One of the things that I wanted you to see on the next page in original programming comments, one of the actors in The Folklorist, and we had many, we had probably 350 SAG actors working on the show, and they weren't paid, they came for food. And so some of those leftover brownies and cookies came in handy, and ice cream. But in New York, actors make their bones on Law and Order. In Boston, we do it on The Folklorist. That was Mary Wexler, one of the actors. So imagine when we read that comment that in New York, those actors cutting their bones on Law and Order, but when they come to Boston, it's on The Folklorist. I'm like, that's pretty good. And that's right there at New TV, a public, formerly known as public access community media center. So now we talk about our facility and our operational needs. I told you this was 36 pages, sorry for the long-windedness, but I have to get it out because we're talking about a time where cable subscribers have cut the cord. Since 2016, the high, we probably had about 29,000 cable subscribers in Newton. We're under 17,000 now. And so funding is drying up for us. And we have to come to the city every year and ask for a supplemental. So when we talk about capital money, that too dries up. And so with the renewal of a franchise agreement with Comcast and Verizon, we seek about $3.7 million because just to run a 10,800 square foot media center today is a task that Steve is on top of, but our basic upkeep is $160,000 budget every year. And that's not, keeping in mind some of the facility upgrades like, air conditioning units or, new carpeting. We're just talking about cameras and edit suites and software for us to be able to function. So in 2017, we purchased a facility, as I mentioned. We are a small business. We're not a department within the city. The PEG fees that come from cable operators are not tax dollars. And so we must reiterate, anybody who has cable television in Newton is contributing to New TV through a surcharge. And it's not taxes, it's a surcharge back to you. Since 1984, the Cable Act of 1984, the federal government has said that cable operators doing business within municipalities around the country must pay a 5% right-of-way fee, right? And Bill August, who is on this call as a counselor for the city, representing the city, Bill was on the Mass Cable Commission way back when I first started in 1990. And so he and I have kind of had a lot of conversations about this, but the Federal Cable Act of 1984 has been amended many times over and over And so it's a shell of itself. But I will tell you that the one thing that we do know is that 5% is needed to support new TV and our partners, including Newton North and Newton South. So that the capital money that also is contributed by Comcast, Verizon, RCN through their federal, through their franchise agreements is necessary for us to continue to upkeep not only the equipment that we have and at the schools, but here at City Hall. So if you go to the next page, that's the Cable Act that I just talked about. And so 5% of the local cable operators' gross annual revenues, which is now a surcharge back to the consumer, is supposed to be for pay-related services, not filling potholes or not buying cameras for intersections to catch people running lights. It's for P-E-G. And so, this is something that we have always abided by, and we know what's in the franchise agreement, and we know how to abide by everything that's in it. And historically, New TV receives its share of PEG support directly from each cable provider. And that's to keep the city from, involving themselves with any liability with a private 501c3, which New TV is. We do have a contract with the city and to provide these services. But we, the city doesn't want to be involved with any lawsuits that New TV has, nor do they want to be any suggestion that they're censoring New TV's programs by holding on to revenues longer than when we're supposed to receive them. And that's just perception. It's hard to fight perception, but the city, if they didn't pay us in time, and somebody didn't like a show, then it could be construed that they were censoring New TV, and we don't want that to happen. I know they don't. New TV's viewers want HD channels. So Patrick, we're still waiting for an HD channel with Comcast. We've had as many as 6 with RCN because they put us on a separate tier so that we could use their Roku to put our programs on the channel guide. But the 3 primary HD channels are where the bulk of our programming is, and we don't really, the other 3 channels don't really work, do they, Steve? I mean, they're listed as ours, but I don't think there's any content on those other 3. And we still have standard definition channels. So the advent of HD channels 100 years ago, we were hoping that we would migrate up to HD channels as well, but we've never made that. So our viewership on cable, even though we're trying to protect that franchise agreement stipulation by putting our content on cable first, nobody's watching us on channel 8 or channel 98. So, we have to be up in the HD tier so that I don't think anybody, I know I don't. If I'm watching channel 804, 805, 807 on Comcast at home, I don't look for 08, the Walton channel, or, 98, the New TV channel. I don't do that. So we've lost viewership. We need to be up in the HD tier. And that's where most of our viewers want us anyway. The New TV capital needs are where we're going next. And in this document, there's a whole list. And it's by department. Post-production, $304,700. And it's itemized on the next page. So if you just go to the next page, you'll see what makes up that $304,700. We're talking about a potential 10-year license. That's what they used to be. We're accustomed to 10-year licenses. Nowadays, we're seeing 5-year licenses. So we're upgrading our cameras in our studio to 4K. Barry insisted that we upgrade our field cameras to 4K, and we're starting to do that. We're starting to migrate over to 4K, and 4K has been around for a while. That's a format change. So when we went from, analog to digital and standard definition to high definition, it's costly for us to make that change. And why do we make that change? Well, the production is better, so the viewer gets to see a better product at home. But we also lose support from venues, from Sony and Canon and all those people, Telview and Broadcast Picks and all the equipment that we have. They no longer support that type of equipment. So HD has been around in our facility for probably 10, 11, 12 years now, Steve, right? And so now we're migrating over to 4K, and there'll be another format change because the consumer will push for it. And so whether it's 8K, 16K, or Bobby K, we don't know. But, we're looking at potentially another format change during a 10-year contract, franchise agreement. So the post editing is, software is 30 computers, edit software. I mean, I don't know if any of you have Adobe Creative Suite, but those licenses are getting more and more expensive. And we have to have an edit share program so that members' content is living on a NAS so that they can pull from it the next day. Even furniture is expensive nowadays. The next page would be the studio control room. And this is where we're talking about the 4K cameras immediately. If we go from HD to 4K, I can't keep all this other equipment in there. Every component has to be changed out with it. So it's so costly. The last time we did it, it was $400 and something thousand to do the entire control room and studio and all the connectivity, right? And so now we have IP based stuff, equipment that all these IP addresses that we have to maintain. And so that's our control room. Imagine changing every component out, including the teleprompter switcher, audio board, and all those monitors, Azure decks, and all the cabling right to the 4 cameras in the studio. And then the sets and the lighting. So if you look at the next page, I'm sorry, go back. That's kind of lists out all the items that we would need, and it's $975,800. That's just the studio and the control. So the next page is playback. So everything that goes out, and I'm not quite sure that some of you on this call understand that is the hub for the city of Newton. We maintain the hub for the city of Newton. So Comcast, Verizon, and RCN's equipment is housed in our facility that we maintain. We're going to send you a bill, Patrick. So there is a hub here at City Hall, but it's not the major hub. So all the content that comes out of City Hall or the Ed Center or the Drucker Auditorium will come to New TV, and then it gets sent to the head ends of Comcast, Verizon, RCN. And then that content then gets sent back to the consumer. And so the residential feed then goes right to your house. So that's kind of the chain of where programming is originated, where it goes to. And so that hub is maintained by us. And so just to maintain that over the next 10 years, we probably would need $260,500. Next page is Newton News. So in order to provide content to Fig City, the Beacon, and to our cable channels and our YouTube channel. Now, Patrick, as I mentioned, we put everything on cable first, and then it lives on our website or our YouTube channel. We used to have a Vimeo account, very expensive. YouTube is the more affordable option because we can't house everything. We can't cloud-based storage it. It's just so expensive with Amazon Web Services or any other provider. So YouTube is the more affordable option. So if somebody wants to watch a city council or school committee meeting from a month ago, it's on our YouTube channel, on our website. So Newton News will need $240,000. The next one is marketing and digital services. So when you talk about computers, iPads, we have to put things out on social media to let members know what's going on at New TV. We have events that we run so that members can attend and network and understand what's going on at New TV. A weekly newsletter that goes out, whether it's Newton News or New TV. So there's a lot of content that has to be distributed to let people know what's going on. As I said, nobody's watching a community calendar on a cable channel any longer. They're going to Facebook, they're going to social media to find out what's going on. New TV has to stay, current and relevant by, putting out marketing and digital content. So 91,900 there. Educational channel. So, we cover a lot of school committee meetings, but we also want those students that are North and Newton South to, when they come to New TV, to have equipment that they're familiar with. So we're trying to, stay in touch with our friends at Newton North and Newton South to see what equipment they're buying. So that Scott and Amanda will let us know, hey, we've got some students that are interested in coming down to New TV and interning, and they're used to, C100 cameras. So, we'll make sure that we have C100 cameras for them. So the students and interns, $80,000 to support their needs over the next 10 years. Facilities, as I told you, we own the facility, but, a roof is expensive. Doing the parking lot over, and so that there's, no potholes that are, filled with ice and people are slipping. Our conference room is automated so that anybody utilizing it could do Zoom meetings, and there's a camera in there just like this room as well. Our HVAC system, our windows, our printers, water heater, deck, transportation, all of that is our expense to run a facility for the city of Newton and all the residents. So, that's our building right there. We have 10,800 square feet, and it's expensive to maintain. But imagine if they doubled our rent, we would be probably 4,000 square feet, and probably limited our services, and probably have to exist in a city building, like many other community media centers. We're hoping that funding from Comcast, Verizon, and RCN will continue for the next 10 years. We're grateful for the opportunity to present our pitch today and our needs. Obviously, we thank Mayor Fuller for all her support. The Newton City Council, they're always supportive of us. Assistant City Solicitor Andrew Lee, outside Council William August, Comcast and Verizon representatives Patrick Neal, and many members, advocates, and enthusiasts who have provided verbal testimony this evening or who have submitted written testimony in support of New TV. For 32 years, New TV has been an integral piece of Newton's community fabric. Please allow us to be here for another 32 years. Thank you, and remember, keep it local.
Thank you, Bob. So I don't believe anyone else in the room has any comments. I don't see any hands up online. So if there's no further testimony, we'll conclude our hearing for tonight. Just so everybody knows, we will be keeping the hearing record open for the next 2 weeks, up to including December 24th. So I'm sure no one has anything going on. If you have any comments about cable related needs, please send it to the City of Newton Law Department. Or you can actually email it to cable renewals, all one word, at newtonma.gov. And please be sure to include your name and address in any communication. Bill, is there anything you'd like to add?
A couple of very brief points. Following up Andrew Lee's comment about keeping the record open, for the benefit of the public, ascertainment of needs under the Cable Act is an ongoing process until further into the licensing timetable. So it's not just the record of tonight's hearing, But really, the spirit of the Cable Act is for the city to conduct an ongoing needs identification process. So it's very much welcomed for the public and other interested persons to continue educating the city about their needs. So the door is open to the public for that process. One technical comment further to is it Eugene Henderson's Roundtree? Eugene Roundtree's very informative and excellent comments and relevant about reception problems and signal quality on other non-cable services like cell phone services and first responder communications. Those are vitally important, but to be upfront so there's no misunderstanding, the cable license under the Cable Act cannot include conditions on non-cable services, except for a very narrowly defined INET capacity. So that should be pursued, but cannot. I don't want people to have expectations that based on comments about that we can include that in the cable license, which is restricted to cable services. But Comcast is such a good partner to municipalities that I'm sure there are other channels of collaboration to pursue that, but it shouldn't be expected that that would be in the cable license. Then finally, I just really want to give a heartfelt thank you because the testimony I heard tonight, I mean, I'm going to have to get copies, and it was so informative on so many different levels. And covered so much territory, as the League of Women Voters was saying, information is the foundation of an informed citizenry, and Comcast has always been a great collaborator and being a partner and keeping that going. So there's a lot of very high value, and in some ways more so than ever in this age of disinformation. You don't even know if what you're reading is from a robot or a human being, or so to have this kind of real, organic, authentic information coming out of a local studio, in some ways it's more valuable than ever, despite all the changes in technology. So it was so much information. Bob Kelly, that was an astounding presentation. You covered so much historically and concrete examples of the kinds of things that go on. Same for the schools and everyone. So thank you all very much. Have a good night.
Thank you. Thank you, New TV. Thank you, Andrew. Good night.
And thank you, everybody, for coming. I think we're all set, so we'll adjourn, and everyone have a great night.
Thank you. Great.